Hello and welcome to everyone here. I feel like we need like some waiting music when we don't start right away, but I know people are always late to these kinds of things, so but I do want to be cognizant of everyone's time, so we want to get started soon. So let's just get jump in here. You're in the right place, the only safe path to AI on Drupal for Government. So I'm Ao. I'm going to be introducing the webinar and our speakers here today. So welcome. Thank you again for coming. Today we'll be introducing a collaboration between ProMetSource and Amazy.io to give state and local government agencies a safe, secure, and practical way to explore AI on their government websites. With Provis Gov, getting started is simple. You can start with a form and then you get a fully configured demo site with Amazy.io's infrastructure and enhanced with a Civic AI Navigator chatbot. So during today's webinar, you'll get a live demo so you can see exactly what that looks like. And then we're also really excited I'm really excited to introduce you to our speakers, Rod and Michael. Rod is a Drupal trainer with ProMetSource, and he's introduced over 50,000 people to Drupal, which sounds incredible. Like how does one even meet 50,000 people? Well, through DrupalCons, camps, YouTube, online, and obviously through ProMetSource. He brings a deep and practical perspective to Drupal and the real world. In the real world. And then also Michael, he's the founder and general manager of Amazy.io. He's passionate about open source technologies and really about the focus is on data privacy and making sure everything is secure and private. So with that, I will jump into the agenda for today. First, you'll get an overview of Provis Gov, then we'll go through the Drupal AI and AI module. Then we'll hear from Michael about the Amazy.io product. Then making AI part of your everyday workflow. Rod will jump into that. We'll have a couple polls throughout, so that's just somewhere where you can participate and share your thoughts. Feel free to answer those, and results will be shared with everyone, but not like individually. So it'll just say like 20% of people thought this. Um, and then we'll have a couple demos followed by Civic AI Navigator. We also should have the Q&A open here. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and go into the chat and um, ask any questions to us. So, and we will get to that at the end. So without further ado, Rod?
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. Quick introduction to Provis Gov. So this is a product coming from ProMetSource. It's a distribution of Drupal that gives you uh, a ton of pre-built components. Provis, which is ProMetSource's layout builder, which is exceptional. It's a very different product than something, say, like Site Studio from Acquia. You're not tied in, you're not locked into a vendor with Provis as a layout tool, and we'll take a quick peek at that as we go today. Zero risk experimentation, it's really true. What you get when you spin up a demo, for instance, is everything we're going to show you today. That is Provis Gov. But it's also available, of course, as a distribution for you to build your own government sites. It's a complete component-based design system. So everything you'd expect from kind of block types that you can add to a layout, to layouts across the board, and landing pages that you can build in literally seconds, as we'll demonstrate later on with the chatbot and Drupal AI that is integrated as well. This is all built on the Amazy platform, and I know Michael's going to talk a lot more about that, so I don't want to steal any of his thunder. But I will just say, it's pretty amazing to see, no pun intended, it's pretty amazing to see what this combination can do, and we're pretty excited to show it to you today. Thanks. So when we're talking about AI in Drupal, we're starting with, of course, the AI module, so Drupal AI, uh, and building it out from there. You can always go and take a look at all of the details about the AI module at the link there on the screen. AI in Drupal is that page at Drupal.org Starshot initiatives. That's kind of an old URL, but all of the information is there about that as well. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, Amazy.io as the provider brings some really terrific aspects to it. Again, not to steal anyone's thunder here, but private AI, blazing speed, really great response times, and a fantastic infrastructure that they've built that supports this really, really well. It works better. I've done both. It works better on Amazy than it does on your own platform. It just does. They have built a very, very high quality um, infrastructure that supports this. And so it's pretty impressive what you'll see.
Thanks, Rod. Yeah, happy to introduce us. So Amazy, we call ourselves a managed open source enterprise hosting company, meaning we're focusing on enterprise hosting. That means enterprise grade security, compliance, with the speciality that everything we do is completely open source. That means there's no vendor lock-in, there's complete transparency of what we're running, what we're doing, and that allows a lot of things that others can't do. One of them, for example, is data sovereignty by design. We actually can run in your infrastructure. So we have many customers that give us access to either their cloud accounts or on-premise, and we can deploy it in there, right? Because there's no secrets, no trade secrets, anything regarding it, because it's all open source, we can deploy this. And that also means we're focusing a lot on security by default. We do this with external penetration tests, with external audits, and a lot of different ways to ensure that whatever we're building and whatever we're using is secure by default. And like I mentioned, it's all open source. Everything that you will see today is completely open source, can be used by anybody. The other thing is that obviously, as a hosting company, we focus very strongly on high reliability. We have a team 24/7 all over the world. We have employees in the Americas, in Europe, and APAC. And with that, we do 24/7 monitoring and also support. We pride ourselves that we do support in Slack or in chat support. So it's not a ticket that you open and you wait a couple of hours for a response. You talk to somebody right away. And as Rob mentioned, since around a year ago, we now also offer private AI hosting. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Plus, what we also have built, and I'm happy that ProMetSource is one of our partners there, we have now built an environment that we can do instant demo environments for the Drupal distributions like Provos. So what you will see today, and you can try out later, it uses that environment where within a couple of minutes, you get your own complete Drupal site that you can run, that you can test, included with AI as well. So let's talk a bit about private AI. Now, what do we mean with that? Basically, it's if as soon as you have sensitive or regulated data, that means any government data, legal data, financial data, pharmaceutical data, whatever, this is declared as sensitive and regulated. And they have, just the fact that what the data that they have very strict data residency and auditability requirements. The other thing is what we see a lot these days is a lot of shadow AI or basically shadow IT in the AI. Employees use random tools they find online that they buy with their own credit card. They upload whatever Excel spreadsheets or PowerPoint presentations up and because they're really useful for them. The problem is your data of your company or your customers go anywhere. And that's really a big problem. So we believe that we want to use all these tools. And however, we need to make it in a way that it's private. And so that means that, for example, you know specifically where your data resides, is processed, and that you can audit this. And that's what we're offering as Amazy.io. That means we can guarantee you where these LLMs are running, who has access to that data, which by the way is nobody, and also where the data is transferred throughout the internet. A lot of the companies that you find these days that just do AI, they don't tell you at all where the data is processed, where the data is stored, and that can become really fast a really big problem, specifically if you have regulated data. So what we're doing as Amazy, as mentioned, you can tell us the region or the data center that your infrastructure should be running, and we can guarantee the compliance and data sovereignty around that. Also, we are not a company that trains AI models. So I don't even store any of the data that is uploaded because I don't have an incentive. Like I don't need that data to use anyway. The other companies out there that train these models, they want as much data as possible because that's literally how they can keep their edge. The fact that we are not training models and we're just using the models, we don't need to store any of the data, and so we don't do it. And that basically means that there's no risk of sensitive information exposure whatsoever. So let's look a bit, if we say the Amazee.io private infrastructure, what this actually means. So in the end, it's two major things. One is we offer LLM API hosting. That can be proprietary models like GPT, Claude, or Mistral, or any of the open source models. So you basically tell us which model you would like, and you also tell us in which region or data center you would like them to run, and then we go there and we install these models there or we run them in that specific environment. However, that's not everything. We know, having done AI and specifically Drupal AI in a lot of things, that just the LLM itself, so that's the chat, the thing that actually answers your question, is not enough. Specifically, if you're trying to do things in Drupal, you might want to search through all the content of your Drupal site. Now, it's not possible to upload your whole Drupal site to an LLM because they have a limited, maybe you heard about this, a context window. That means it's a limited space that they can handle of data. For that, we need to use so-called vector databases. That is like an in-between step where we first upload the whole Drupal site and all the content into a vector database, and then the LLM can search through that vector database. And that's another thing we're offering. So many companies out there, they just offer you the LLM, and then you have to find a second company that does the vector databases. We do it all out of the box. So you get both of it with the same data protection and data sovereignty. And then the other special thing is that everything we do is based on Kubernetes, meaning that we can we can scale up and down. That's one of the great things, but also Kubernetes runs pretty much anywhere. So any infrastructure that we can run Kubernetes, we can bring all that infrastructure in a very easy and fast way, and we can do this. And as mentioned, all of it is completely data insulated. It's all of them completely private. We can deploy this anywhere. Today, we run in Europe, the US, Australia, Switzerland. We have a couple of on-premise customers already, and the data never leaves that. But because we use all these Kubernetes things, we have a scalability like in the cloud, and you can switch the models. So some providers maybe only offer you, let's say, the OpenAI models, or others only offer you the Anthropic models. The fact that we have a very flexible infrastructure, actually, we can give you access to multiple models at the same time, and you can switch between them even mid-conversation if necessary, which is obviously really great because these models are adapting very fast. Some of them are specialized for specific things, and so having that flexibility just gives you better results. Now, we talked a little bit about Drupal AI, and we're going to see a lot. But obviously, having been involved in Drupal AI and actually being one of the initiative sponsor of the Drupal AI initiative, we get the last like, what can I actually do? Now, by default, what comes to mind is any type of content generation. And Rod is actually going to show part of this later. That's just like using AI to generate me content and help me there. However, Drupal having this very good content categorization model, right? That's what Drupal is very good at, the taxonomy terms and the fields and the way to structure content. I can tell you AIs love that. AIs are in love with Drupal because they can really easily get content specified to what the AI needs. That also means you can use it the other way around. So if you have existing content and let's say you want to categorize it, to whatever your categorizations might be, an AI can automatically look at your categorization, look at your content, and categorize them fully automatically, which improves the speed of how you can get content out by a lot. The really cool thing, though, and that's where I'm really proud about Drupal AI always does things with so-called human in the loop, meaning it is possible, right, that the AI maybe miscategorizes something. That means you can always go back and tell and change it. So it's not forced. You will always know what's going on, what Drupal AI has done for you. And if you don't like it, for whatever reason, you can always go back and change it. Now, we talked about, obviously, Drupal is very good in content. As a non-English speaker myself, that's very exciting, right? We have a lot of translation and multilingual capability. Because these models are not only good in generating content, they're also very good in understanding text in general, and that means in multiple languages. So Drupal has direct integrations to switch languages, and we're going to see this also today. But that's not only it. Because an AI really understands text, right? Its meaning, its purpose. It can also change the tone and the style of it. So if you have different websites for different audiences, maybe in different countries or different age ranges or things like that, Drupal AI has you covered out of the box, which is extremely cool. And then the last thing around content is, again, because it understands content, it can also compare it to existing compliances. So what we see, for example, is companies that live in a very strict compliance environment, let's say pharmaceutical companies, where they need to be very clear of what is allowed, or even government, right? How can I ensure that what is written on the website is actually also written in law, and all these things that used to be hours and hours and hours of people comparing different texts? The AI can speed it up. I'm not saying it completely replace it. You probably still want to have somebody with the actual degree and certification to verify it, but to have something already done makes it a lot easier. And that's where the content compliance checking comes in, where Drupal can help you add there, again, out of the box, their recipes for that. And then obviously, if we leave the whole content world, like of generating content or adapting content, we can use also a lot of other AI things. There's all kind of image generation or all text generation capabilities as well. You can ask Drupal, you can automate workflows. So things that took you a long time before, with Drupal AI, you can automate them. Or a really cool thing is there is now a Drupal AI chat where you can actually talk to your Drupal site. So you can ask it, how much content is there? What was the most successful content? Questions like that. Or you can also use it for what we call site building. You could literally ask it to create new landing pages and things like that. And that's specifically where the initiative right now is working very heavily. You might have heard of Drupal Canvas, the new page builder, and there is fully from the beginning AI enabled. So you can literally tell it, I need a landing page about this topic. Here are 3 pictures, and it will build you a landing page. That's very much still like alpha and beta versions of that stuff, but it is obviously very good, and very exciting future in the moment. So we talked a lot about Drupal, but how do we actually connect it to AI? So on the next slide, we build an AI provider directly into Drupal, because that's always the question, like how do you connect these two things? Before that provider existed, you actually needed like different accounts from Claude and OpenAI and things like that. And we basically standardized that extremely simple. So you have one provider, you install that. You can actually create your account right there. So you don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to create another account and copy paste tokens or API keys or things like that. You can literally create the account within that, and you get a free account out of the box. That's what you also will get in the demos later. That provider will give you a free, so you can try it out right away. No credit card needed whatsoever. You can go and try and use it right away. And all of this, again, as I mentioned, everything we do, complete data sovereignty, the region is set and the data will never leave it. It's all done with enterprise security. And again, completely open source. All right, so I'll hand over to Ayo for the first poll.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you for taking us through that. I am going to launch the first poll here. Can everyone see it? How are you? We're curious to know, like, how are you using AI right now? Are you currently just using it in your personal life? Are you using it in work? Or are you using it in both work and personal? Um, there's also a choice to choose neither, but it doesn't look like anybody is not using it anywhere. So take a moment, answer the poll, and I will share the results now. Okay, so it looks like most people are using AI in both work and personal, with a few people using just in one or the other. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with AI. That's really helpful to hear that most people kind of have adapted it in both personal and work life. And back to Rod.
I don't think we can hear you,
Can you
Rod.
let me share my screen?
Yes, we can hear.
Oh, yeah. Are you seeing? Sorry, are you seeing my screen, the Meridian screen? Forgive me.
We still see the shared of IO.
Okay, so let me try it again.
Yep, I see
There
it.
we are. Okay. Well, welcome back. Sorry about that. I'm just getting over a flu, everybody, so I'm going to probably be a little rough through this. So I apologize ahead of time. I know you're never supposed to start with an apology, but you're going to hear it in my voice pretty quickly. All right, here's what we're going to cover in the demo, and um, what a great overview to begin the day with. So we're going to talk about content generation and content enhancement with Drupal AI, summaries, translations, SEO, and accessibility improvements, brand voice consistency. I'll demonstrate that. And what I mean by brand voice is the tone or updating the content of a blog post or a node to match your brand voice. Metadata, AI generated metadata, AI generated alt text for your media, field automations, and more. So that's what we're going to cover in the next probably about 20 minutes. This website is a spin up of the demo over on Amazy. Provis Gov demo is something that you can get, and it looks like this. In fact, we're gonna look at it later, but this is what you would get if you spun up an actual demo with the chatbot, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But this is a standard Drupal website. We've enabled the Drupal AI module and a bunch of assistant modules along with the Amazy module as well. I'm not going to go through all of that because that would just take us too long, but it's a pretty standard installation, nothing out of the ordinary here. I'm going to head over to content and I'm just going to create a simple blog post, right? So content, add content, and blog. When you install the Drupal AI, one of the additional modules you auto install and comes with the demo is the AI module for CK Editor. And there are a number of options under here. We've turned all of them on, or most of them on, for today's demo. So this is basically just CK Editor, again, with this AI assistant in here. Over on the right-hand side, we've also got some additional features that show up on the right-hand side. So moderate text, evaluate readability, summarize text, suggest taxonomy tag, and suggest title. These are also part of the AI module with a couple of companion or additional modules installed. You can turn these on or off because there's definitely some overlap between what's here on the right and what's over in CK Editor. All right, well, I'm going to start by generating some content. So I'm going to click Assistant and Generate with AI. Now, everybody knows lousy prompts produce lousy outputs. And so this isn't a magical tool that's going to make your AI work better for you. You still have to put the work in to get a prompt that is worth doing. So I've got a prompt planned here, and all it is write a blog post about the Drupal AI, short professional post, exactly 5 paragraphs about Drupal AI and the Drupal focused audience. Should be 10, 11. Give it the tone, content, outline, and things like that. I'm happy to provide this prompt later if you're interested. I can throw it in the chat or something like that. I'm going to click generate. Now you'll see that it starts to write this post in real time. You have to wait until the HTML is rendered. You can't really, if you leave this screen or click save changes to editor now, you'll only get half of it. It doesn't take long at all. In fact, from my experiments between regular AI and Amazy seems to be quicker in most of the prompts that I've given it. And I mean, honestly, I'm not being paid to say that. I'm being genuine about that. I've done quite a bit of testing with it. So Michael's point earlier, human in the loop. Well, we can edit this right here. The AI has generated this output, but we don't have to be satisfied with it. We can edit it right here, or we can just say save changes to the editor. And now I've got this entire short blog post in my content or in my body field, and I'm ready to start working on it. I could have said a 10 paragraph. I could have said, a university level, a complex overview of Drupal AI in the next 10 years. Drupal AI can handle it. And again, as has been pointed out, it uses the LLM of your choice when you sign up. The next one here is to modify with a prompt. So there's a lot we could do with this. Um, uh, one of the things we could do is, you know what? I kind of like some headings. So let's add that. Now, to modify any text with a prompt, you need to select the entire text. So I'm going to say select all, say modify with a prompt, and just say add heading tags for the paragraphs. And it should go through. And as you can see, it's added an H2 and an H3 appropriately, which is awesome. It'll always be semantically correct, just so you know. Good for compliance later on. And there we are. This is an H2. Not quite sure why. Oh, I know why I did that, because of my prompt. So we'll just get rid of that. But this is a heading 2, a heading 3, and more. So that's pretty good. Now, again, you can do any kind of modification you want. And I'm going to come back to that when we talk about readability. The next one here is to reformat the HTML. So more often than not, when you get something in Word or from an editor, they might have mixed up heading 2s and heading 3 tags. It might not be semantically correct throughout the entire document. In order to fix that, again, you just highlight all and say reformat HTML. And it'll reform. Now, it won't do anything here because it's already correct all the way through, but you simply do that if you do have things that are wrong. And this is a really simple way, again, to make sure your content is correct. The next one is fix spelling, obviously. The next one is to summarize. Now, this is handy if you've got a very, very long article and you want to have a quick executive summary at the top or an executive summary at the bottom. So once again, select all and say summarize. Now you'll note I'm not adding any extra prompting here. Some of that prompting is in the setup of the AI under CK Editor. Now here, I don't want to save the changes to the editor. Why not? Well, because I've selected all of the text in the editor, and if I save the changes to the editor, I will have wiped out my content. So the simplest thing to do here is just, again, select all and control and copy, and then I can paste it at the bottom as a summary if I want. And there you go. The next one down is really, really cool. Tone is your brand voice. I'm working right now with a pretty big university up in Illinois and a law firm down in Georgia. And they're both interested in this AI bit in Drupal a lot. And this is what they're most interested in because they both have multiple editors and they want to make sure that the style of authorship of their content is essentially coming from a standardized voice or tone for their relative companies. This works through a taxonomy system. So you'll set up a taxonomy called whatever, I call mine tone just so I don't get confused. And then you add vocabulary terms to the tone vocabulary. And so I've done that. Let's take a quick peek. I'm going to select everything. Actually, you know what? I'm only going to select this paragraph here for this quick experiment. And I'm going to change the tone to, now this is just what I've put in, casual. David Attenborough, I'm a huge fan. So if you know who David Attenborough is, he writes and speaks with quite the unique style. You'll see the difference. Funny, professional. On my own blog and on my own websites where I use this. I've written my own brand voice uh, by feeding into ChatGPT or some other LLM a bunch of my writing. I've thrown in a bunch of my videos, and I've said, now create a brand voice that sounds like me. And it did a really decent job. And I put that in the description of the vocabulary term for me. And that's what you do. You put whatever your brand voice is in the description field of the tone of the term, pardon me, and that governs how this works. So just for fun, I'm going to say David Attenborough. Change the tone. Now we're only going to do the one paragraph, so it'll be pretty quick. And here it is. So we've got artificial intelligence is increasingly becoming a crucial component in the Drupal ecosystem. In the ever-evolving habitat of technology, artificial intelligence is magnificently establishing itself as an essential element within the Drupal ecosystem. Yeah, that's kind of how he talks. But you see how quickly that was. I'm going to just save those changes to the editor, and then I'm going to choose the next paragraph and do the same thing once again, only this time I'm going to choose funny. Funny being a relative term. Drupal AI is like having a quirky robot sidekick that jazzes up site construction and management. Picture AI-powered modules as eager little elves automating all the mundane tasks. So there we go. For the people I'm working with currently, this is one of their favorite things because they can apply this and they'll know within, a pretty high percentage that the text that they've converted really does match their brand voice. And that's really excellent. Let me quickly just save this. And I'll show you just quickly how that gets set up. Sorry, I wasn't going to do this, but I figured it'd come up. It might come up later, so give me just a second. There we are. So under casual, oh, let's do funny because that's what we did. There's actually no description here. It just automatically made it funny. For David Attenborough, I just added the text, rewrite the text just the way David Attenborough would speak. Now this is where I would put in my very, very long brand voice definition, and Drupal will use that to determine the tone, which is pretty cool. All right. Next is translate. So I do not speak Spanish. I was born in Australia. I grew up in Canada. I live outside of Cincinnati, so I speak Australian, Canadian, and American, but I don't speak Spanish. Please forgive me if you do. But this is a pretty decent translation. Are you ready? Assistant, translate, and any language you have installed in your Drupal website will be available for AI translation. I'm right now working on a 47 language website, and we have compared true translations with what Drupal AI is doing. It's pretty amazing. Not 100%, so you always need to confirm, as with everything else with AI, but it's getting closer and closer every day. Somebody once said not too long ago that this is the worst AI will ever be. That's amazing to think about it. So I'm going to change this to Spanish, and I know AO speaks Spanish, so we tested this yesterday with, and she said it was actually pretty good. So there we go. Again, I apologize that I can't actually confirm if that's a good translation or not, but it was yesterday when we tested this out. There are a couple of other things that have not been turned on here. One is specifically summarize a PDF, which again I'm using with another website that I'm working on right now, or actually just finished working on, where they have hundreds of PDFs. This particular part will look at the PDF that you've uploaded and summarize it for you. And that's exactly what they need. They have hundreds of PDFs as information for their members. And so on each page where there's a PDF embedded, there's now a summary just below the PDF, because that way they can see what it says before they download it and open it themselves. That we don't have turned on, but it's an exceptionally handy feature. All right, so that's what's built into CK Editor. We've got a couple of others over here on the right-hand side that are also part of Drupal AI. The first one is moderate text. That's the same as modify with a prompt, so we're going to leave that one be. Let's talk about evaluating the readability. We know that, unfortunately, reading capability across the globe, and certainly here in the United States, isn't what it used to be. And so writing complex articles for a general audience is never a good idea. This text is fairly difficult to read, comparable to a college level complexity. And that's typically what you're going to get out of AI unless you specifically tell it not to. So this is where modifying with a prompt is going to come in handy. So I'm going to select all, and I could moderate the text here. I'm sorry, I messed that up. We'll come back to that one. I can modify with a prompt here. Let me just select all. And convert this text to a 7th grade reading level. Keep the sentences short. There's a whole prompt about changing this to a 7th grade reading level. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to quickly do that. And I'm going to save those changes. And once again, I'm going to rerun the score the readability. There's a question I might as well answer right now. How do we know which LLM is doing all of this for us? Well, that's something that you select when you set up Drupal AI. So whether you use the Provis Gov demo, that will be using Amazee's plugin, and you have choices there. As soon as you set it up and install it and set it up, you get to choose which LLM you're using. So you always have the choice. If you're using Drupal AI out of the box, you have to download a provider. And again, with Amazee, you have to download the same provider. But whatever providers you download, like whether that's ChatGPT or OpenAI, Gemini, et cetera, those are the ones you get to choose from. So it's 100% up to you, whichever one you choose. So this is, okay, this is a bit better, suitable for readers with at least a high school education. So probably we'd need to give it a little bit better of a prompt, but it's already, what is that? That's 20, 30 points better than it was before. So that's really good. All right, I totally missed this. Moderate text and forgive me. This is the analyzing content to tell you what content policies it may provide, you might have violated. Pardon me. We don't have any policies set up on this particular demo site because, of course, your policies will be different than ours. But this is exceptionally handy. This is something you set up in the AI settings area as well. You basically input all of your policies right into the field, and then it will compare those policies with your text to make sure there are no violations. One of the things you can do here as well is set the reading level, for instance. And if your reading level is above a certain reading level, then it would pop up here as one of the violations. How many words are in a sentence? If you have policies around that, it would tell you here that you violated that policy if you like run on sentences like I do without having any pauses or punctuation. All right. There's a summarized text one here as well. We did that with the summarized text here. But this one's interesting, suggesting taxonomy tags. Now, I am not a fan of Drupal's tagging widget. It's too easy for content editors to make a mistake. But here's the best part. You don't have to use the tagging widget. You can set up your own source vocabulary and tell it which vocabulary to use in order to access the terms that should be applied as tags. That's phenomenal. But if you just want to suggest taxonomy terms and then paste them into the field, there you go. At this point, there is no, okay, now put those in the tagging field. You'd have to copy and paste those. Same thing with suggest a title. I can suggest the title. AI revolutions the Drupal ecosystem with smart innovations. Once again, I have to copy and paste that, and I'm good to go. By the way, if you click this select the fields, you can select just the body field, and it will just look at the body field in order to do any of this work here. So that's the very, very quick overview of content generation, content moderation, enhancements, tone, translations, spelling, and readability, and suggesting some helpers like tags and titles. I'm just going to quickly show you one last thing on this particular issue or in this particular section. I'm going to click Add Media, and I'm going to upload a picture called Drupal Training. Now watch. I don't have to do anything. Because we have the alt text module installed, it automatically updates the alt text as it analyzes the picture. A Drupal training session with a diverse group in a modern classroom. How awesome is that? Human in the loop, I can change that if I don't like it. I can delete it and regenerate it. And insert selected. All right. There's one last set of fields down here at the bottom, and these are automator fields. One of the things Drupal AI allows you to do is automate field generation based on a set of rules. This top one is an AI summary for SEO, and this one is a LinkedIn post. These two fields analyze the body of the node on save and generate this text ready to go. Let me show you how I did it, and it just happens when you click save. So actually, let me click save. Structure, content types, blog, manage fields. And I'll just do the LinkedIn post field. I'm going to do this very quickly. This is really not a how-to, but I want to show you the principles behind it. Down here, we turned on, pardon me, we turned on Enable Automator. We used the LM text automator type with an advanced mode where I can use a token here in the prompt. The prompt is write a LinkedIn post only from the source. The source is node : body. That's the token for the body field. There's the instructions for the LinkedIn post, and it's a standard LinkedIn post type set of rules. Edit when changed means if I change the body, it will regenerate the actual field content. And then down here, it's saying which model I'm going to use, whether it's direct, i.e. as soon as I click save, or am I going to batch it or queue it? And there's all kinds of other things down here that you can set depending on the kind of automator that you're building. Automators are incredible, and they can do some unbelievably cool things, like trigger on policy and legal for content types. You can do SEO fields like the one I did, the other one I did. Smart taxonomy and tagging. That can be automated rather than you clicking that button. It can actually be completely automated as well. Automator flows with accessibility booster, plain language rewrite, and more. All of these automations are possible through these kinds of fields. You can have as many as you want and as many automations as you want. And I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to keep going. let's do that next poll while I set the next section up, will you,
Yep.
please?
Definitely. So awesome. Thanks, Rod, so much for taking us through that. I would say, it is a lot. I've seen this a few times and I'm getting the hang of it, but it can be a lot to take in. So we were wondering if would you be interested in a full day hands-on training focused on Drupal and AI? That way you could, follow along as Rod. Um, shows you what to do and you can click through and 'cause sometimes seeing it is one thing but actually doing it can help people learn and stick to the brain cells as the young kids say today. I'm joking that that's I don't know what young kids say anymore. Okay. Okay, so poll number two. Let's see. I'm gonna end poll here. So it sounds like about half and half people are interested in hands-on training. So that's great to hear. If you are interested, you can contact ProMetSource and we can set you up with full day hands-on training. We can schedule it in likely for when works for you. So thanks again for answering the poll, and I'll hand it back to Ron.
All right. Get my face out of the way for this last exercise. The chatbot here is a special add-on chatbot that comes with Provis Gov called the AI Page Creator. So again, this is a landing page generation tool that works not only with Drupal and the Provis Gov that ProMetSource has created, but it specifically uses what we call Provis, which is the landing page builder. Um, I don't know about you. I am looking forward to Canvas, but it's a year away minimum. I mean, come on, let's be honest. And we've been waiting for it now for a couple of years. Layout Builder was promising a lot of things and it was good, but Provis is an exceptional layout builder that is clearly better than certainly what Layout Builder is today. So let me grab a little prompt here. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy in the outline of today's webinar. And let's see, where did I put that? Haha. Well, I had it here somewhere. Just a second. Well, where did it go? Hmm, that's all right. I seem to have misplaced it. So I'm going to create a landing page for a webinar on Drupal AI for January 29th, 2026. That covers all the main points about Drupal AI and Amazy AI. I know that's a terrible prompt, and I apologize. You know what? It's right there above. I could have copied and pasted it. Create page. Let's see what we end up with. Don't you love live presentations sometimes? All right. This is only going to take a second. It's going to blow your mind. Here we go. It's already ready. And here is a webinar, expert insights, practical applications, networking opportunities. Amazy AI's Drupal AI solutions have transformed our content strategy, complete with a register now button, FAQ section, images, and more. And I'm not sure what's wrong with that image there at the top, but typically there'd be an image in the background. Let me show you one of the other ones that it did do yesterday when I did this. With the correct prompt, try AI ready Drupal safely, privately with Provis Gov. There's the webinar topics, what you'll gain, and then, you know, that would typically take you quite a bit of time to do. And this product is part of Provis Gov, and it's part of the offering that we've got here. I should have just looked up here. There's the entire prompt right above there from yesterday, but that's okay. So you've got all of the content kinds of things that you can do, as well as landing page builders, taxonomy builders, content builders. These are all part of what Drupal AI brings to the table. I have one last thing to share with you before we are done, and that is Civic AI Navigator. Now, Civic AI Navigator is a product that is in partnership with the two companies. And I want to just talk a little bit about it for a second. And I apologize if I put that full screen, it will just completely make my screen go wonky. This is intelligent, secure chat on your government website that knows everything about who you are. Contextual responses, conversational interface, inclusive and accessible. It is customizable, easy. It's the best chatbot I've actually ever used. So let me share it with you quickly before we're done. So I'm over here at the typical um, demo that you would spin up for yourself at the links that we'll give you at the end of the webinar. And I'm going to click chat with us. This is the Civic AI Navigator, specifically designed for government websites. It knows everything about your site through a RAG database, but not just any RAG database. It's an advanced, uh, database, far better than what I've been able to replicate on my own using the open source tools. So, when is garbage pickup? I have done a number of small town websites. It's unbelievable that this is what they want to know. When is garbage pickup? Well, garbage pickup is, here it is. Real-time updates are available. We need to find out where you are actually located. So in that case, why don't you just head right over here to the waste and recycling page that will give you the location of your garbage pickup specifically. Trash pickup schedule. And it also gives me other links that have meaningful information here, as well as other questions that I can ask in conjunction with the question I just asked again. So recycling guidelines. What are the holiday closures? So it's an incredibly aware chatbot. So what's going on in the background? Well, let's take a quick peek. And this is the back end of what we just saw. Civic AI Navigator gives you the possibility to change everything and set everything up here in the settings area, a complete history of every chat that your chatbot has, and you can look at them line by line, question by question, and see the customer satisfaction. You can actually go back and look at the individual messages that were asked. So when is garbage pickup? Garbage pickup schedule, and there's the actual message there that you can go and look at the UID. You can look at all of the statistics from your chatbot. And again, the advanced RAG database here is better than anything I've set up with open source tools. The depth of knowledge is really amazing. And it's something that a government website could really, really benefit from, like Martin County, Florida, which uses Civic AI Navigator. They have just given us some tremendous feedback on it. You can even look at the chats going on live on the site. And here they are. This one's awaiting a user message. This one was done this morning. So you can actually just follow along live if you want to look in the background. There's a lot more to talk about, and this is something we'd be happy to follow up with you on at another time. And so I'm going to turn it back over because we're almost out of time, and I know we've probably got some questions.
Thanks, Rad. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, great. So that was awesome. Thank you so much for taking us through all of those different features inside of Provis Gov. Here is your takeaway slide. So you can try it on your own with the Amazy.io infrastructure for free. That's going to be this link on the screen and that QR code. And I also had it set here on the chat. So it's shared now. So you just go in, you can fill out the form, so like your name, email, and then you press, get my demo, and there it'll email you, and you can log into your own Provis Gov site where you can try all this stuff for yourself. So it includes 7 days of free Drupal AI. And I think that's about it. So we have a few minutes for questions. We actually had a lot of questions coming through. I can certainly read them out and see if Michael or Rod has an answer. So the first one that came through was, what AI pre-trained models do you have for recognition, specifically for speech recognition, ASR, and Arabic and Chinese to create SRT captions based on audio files? Um, I'm not
Yeah,
sure the answer to that one. Michael, you got
yeah,
it?
happy to answer. So the most common one right now for ASR is Whisper, which is an open source model by OpenAI. And it actually has segment support. So the output of it actually tells you which or in which place a translation was or the word was said, which allows you directly to convert it into SRT. So we have the Whisper model available. So if that's something you're interested, yeah, talk to us, and we're happy to give you access to it for a trial. It's
Nice.
not part of the default Drupal access. There we're more focusing on content generation or like Claude models and things like that. But the Whisper is definitely available in the background, and we can give you access.
Okay, I think that answers the secondary question. Do you provide these services via middleware or other hosted application, or is it Drupal required? So, um,
No, Drupal is not required at all. In the end, what actually happens, Drupal talks to an API with an API key. That's our API, which is also OpenAI API compatible. That means any other tool out there that can talk to an OpenAI API can also talk to us. It's becoming like the standard that this API scheme is like the default, and we fully support that. So you can use our AIs with any other tools like N8N, or Open Web UI, WordPress AI, Symfony, all of them are fully able and can be used.
nice. We did answer one question live. We have another one here. Can the platform's AI assist in real-time remediation of Section 508 compliance issues? For example, auto-generating alt text. We did just cover that, so you can do that. Or checking color contrast. I'm not sure if color contrast is available.
I think I've seen
Ah,
demos where you upload a picture or
yeah.
like a screenshot. It's a little bit more complex, right? How do you get the screenshot of a website into an LLM? However, there are now headless browsers, for example. So these are like programmatically browsers that can open a website and take a screenshot and put it back into an LLM, and then the LLM can give feedback. So I've seen demos of this. I don't know if there's an one-click recipe in Drupal AI right now that does this, but from a technical point of
Not
view,
that I know of.
it's definitely
Yeah.
possible, and your friendly agency like Prometheus will be able to help you to build something like that.
Yep, absolutely. And then one more question, I think we can squeeze it in. For AI chatbot, how do you control your costs if users decide to target the bot with overuse?
That's a very good question. Yeah, it's not something I've mentioned specifically, but for each of the API keys that we generate within Amazing AI, you can actually give them budgets. So that's a possibility to say, like that your dev environment doesn't use too many keys or that they are not misused by your team. However, you can also use that for websites. So you could set budgets, and these budgets you can say like in a specific amount of time. We also have requests per minute limits and a couple of things. So that's definitely something we can work together. Again, it's not something that is by default enabled, but if that's of a concern, we're there to help, and we have the controls in place to mitigate that concern. Yeah.
Awesome. So again, try this out. It's free. It's just filling out the form, and then you get something emailed to you, and then you can log in and start playing around with it. And thank you everyone so much for joining us today. I will be sending out a recording of this webinar, and we really appreciate all the participation and questions, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.